go. Okay. So we'll be talking about several things here about the department. So some of this is going to be like, for you who are new, these are all the people. For those of you who've been here before, these are the changes, but we'll be going through that and talking about these various different topics that we have associated with it. But I wanted to preface everything I say by the fact that things have changed dramatically. Dr. Castagno said that he's never seen this many people in this room, right? Well, at the recent American Nuclear Society conference, people were saying we've never seen the current landscape of acceptance of nuclear engineering. It is new. They were saying with 3 years, it's tremendously changed. And I could put a lot of things up here, but I just wanted to simply say, you know, in the past, nuclear engineering was seen as the future. When I was growing up, everything in science fiction was all atomic powered spacecrafts, atomic powered this, atomic powered that. Everybody said, well, look, no way we're going to ignore atomic energy or nuclear energy, right? So that, of course, went through some issues. It was a new technology, and some things happened that scared people. And politicians took that and ran with it. And believe it or not, if you've ever seen Oliver Stone's movie on nuclear now, talks about how the petroleum companies got together and wrote research saying all nuclear is going to kill everybody. And so whenever you threaten an establishment like the oil industry, they fought back. And all this, of course, led to some issues that have occurred over the past 50, 60 years. But now things are changing. And some of this has got to do with just the need for energy and everybody knowing how important it is. The other part of that, of course, is, you know, climate change, right? Now, I don't know what climate change is, honestly, because climate changes all the time. And we have plenty of records that says it changes all the time. But irrespective of that, I do think we should be good stewards of the environment. And I certainly think that we can't keep pouring carbon into the atmosphere. So whether you're for or against, it doesn't matter. The point is people are all taking notice that nuclear energy is here. And it has a track record. And that track record is an excellent track record if you look at it. And people's attitudes are starting to change. So I think right now people are starting to see back to the whole promise of the future of nuclear energy, and we're seeing that on lots of different excuse me, I guess that works. Lots of different organizations, lots of different groups are doing this. So in the last 3 years, it says we've never seen support for nuclear grow the way it has. So this came out this May, right? And it says that around the world, there's 5-to-1 people for rather than against nuclear today. And this crosses all sorts of political barriers, gender, and everything. This is from a variety of different countries. And here, back in March, Department of Energy put out this pathway to commercial liftoff. And they're saying that the current climate goals, whether you agree with them, whether they're going to change or not, the current goals of 2050 being basically carbon free is going to require a 4 times increase in the amount of nuclear energy and a 4 times increase in the amount of people working in the nuclear industry. And if you take the current number of engineers, there's about 14,000 working nuclear engineers right now. That says by 2050 we're going to need 52,000 engineers. So whenever the current university output is on nuclear engineers, it's going to have to go up by a factor of 4. Because right now, this number is sustained pretty much by the number that graduates. It's really amazingly close that we put out just enough engineers to replace all those who are retiring. And it's been steady for a while. But this says in a very short period of time, we're going to need to be putting out a lot more. So it's a good time for nuclear, right? But let's get back to our department and just give you a little history. Many of you may not know this, but this department was not a department originally. It was an option under metallurgical engineering. And if you think about it, you go, why metallurgical engineering? Well, at the time, people were trying to figure out how to get uranium and plutonium and stuff. And metallurgists were the ones that were working on these new metals that were pretty unique. And so, and in 56, it became an option of metallurgical engineering. Now, this campus, which started as Missouri School of Mines, one of the original disciplines was metallurgical engineering. 1870, 150 plus years of metallurgical engineering. But we're that new thing, and 1956 it became an option. They bid it and got a reactor. They built 3 reactors that year. I think there's like the 8th to go critical or something like that among university reactors. One of the first ones, but that was 1961. In 62, an MS, a master's, was approved, and in 64, a PhD. But to this time, there weren't any bachelors in nuclear engineering. There were metallurgy with nuclear option. Then in 1983, we split off from metallurgy. So the original Department of Nuclear Engineering. See, I'm the founding chair, so I must have been chair in 1983 or something like that, because I did it. But no, that's not exactly how it happened. Separates from metallurgy. Now, here's the thing. 2004, nuclear engineering and mining engineering merged. So this is where the department, quote unquote, disappeared and went back to being a program rather than a department. And so in 2021, it was an independent department, and I am the first chair since. So that's where the founding chair comes, not because I created this department or anything, or not that I go back this far, but just because of the way the history worked out. I am the chair of the new department rather than a program chair. So that's a little bit of history of this program, department, option, whatever you want to call it, but the source of nuclear engineers here. So here is the administration of the department. You know, you have myself and you have Angelica, and I hope everybody knows Angelica by now. She is apparently what, hiding in the hallway or something. Yeah. But if any of you students have a problem, one of the first people you might see would be your advisor or Angelica. Your advisor will probably tell you to go see Angelica. There's Angelica. So if you didn't already know Angelica from the ice cream social, here she is. She has an assistant, Kaylee, right now, that works in the office you may see. And then, of course, you know some of the faculty. Dr. Elijah, who was the program head before I became chair, is our graduate coordinator. So the graduate students know that. Dr. Schlegel and Dr. Graham are both associate chairs, one for academics, one for research. Many of you know Ethan, I'm sitting there in the blue shirt, Ethan Tabor, our reactor manager. And for those of you who haven't met him yet, we have our new reactor engineer, Beta. Beta, raise your hand there. There you go. So he just started this summer. July? Yeah. Yeah. So this is the department administration. Here are the faculty as we now have it. So you already had me and Dr. Elijah, Dr. Schlegel, and Dr. Graham. You know Dr. Castano, who introduced me, and Dr. Usman, who's traveling today, so he won't be here. Now, many of you knew that Dr. Syed Alam would have been on this list, but he has moved on to the University of Illinois. And interestingly enough, Dr. Alam is on Zoom watching us today. So you can all say hi, Dr. Alam.
Hello. I'm still adjunct, so I think like it's part of my job is still to be there.
There you go. So here's our adjunct faculty, and Dr. Alam right here, you see. So he is continuing to both direct students, but also to collaborate with the department there in Illinois. Along with him, we have Dr. John Gall, who's up at Mizzou at the Columbia reactor up there, MUR, the Missouri University Research Reactor. And then from campus, we have Jaime Nguyen in material science, Muthana Aldahan, and Joseph Smith out of Kim Engine. So these are our current associated faculty who you may or may not see at different times. And we're looking at adding some more as we continue to collaborate across campus. Because I think nuclear engineering is a real collaborative discipline. We don't build reactors. We ask civil engineers to do that, and we don't design systems necessarily. We might have a mechanical engineer do that, but we are important to what they're going to accomplish. And so we work across disciplines, and we'll be working with others. And then we have the reactor, the little building out back with the little sign on it says MSTR, Missouri University of Science and Technology Reactor, MSTR, right? And so you already met Dr. Graham, who was the director, and Ethan, the manager, and Abeda that I just introduced as our reactor engineer. And for some of you who become reactor operators, and we all talk about this, that you have an opportunity to train and become a licensed reactor operator. So I think that's right. We have 8 currently that are licensed, and of course, Ethan is the senior reactor operator. And if you don't know, Michelle Bresnigan, who is a graduate of this department, is the campus head of safety, but also in this particular regard, the radiation safety officer. So this is your department. And just wanted to throw this up here. College Choice did the best nuclear engineering schools in the country. And we see here West Point gets a pass, and Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I don't know why they're up there. They're not that good. But anyway, we're up here at number 6 on top of Texas A&M, by the way, Dr. Elijah, right? And Dr. we're on top of the University of Illinois as well. Yeah, okay. Your old school. Yeah. So I just wanted to share for a moment now, when I was interviewed, what my vision for this department was, and it's the one I'm sticking to. Because to me, it's all important to know where you're going. And so there's 2 parts to my vision for this department. And one is about the department itself, that its mission is responsive to societal needs and is leading among the nation and developing internationally in research, teaching, and service. That goes without saying. That's my goal. And I think all the faculty agree with that. The other part of that, though, has to do with just the department and all of you. And that is, my students have always told me how welcoming the faculty are and how supportive they are and how much they interact with each other. It's kind of a family type atmosphere, and I don't want to mess that up. In fact, I would prefer to help and make that even more inclusive, vibrant, forward-thinking, and safe. In other words, a place where everybody wants to come to work or study or something. I want it to be welcoming. And for all of you who are here as undergraduates, to enjoy your 4 years here and leave here with good feelings about us when you leave. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about enrollment. I finally got the first week numbers this morning, Angelica, so I had to update it by a few. But anyway, if you look at this is how the university breaks this down as of basically last week. The first week was last week, so now they know what the numbers are. And you have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors for a total here. You have your MS and PhDs. They've broken it down by gender as well for a total of 140. And one of the things you'll notice is the sophomore class is only 15 here. All right, so there's some history here in terms of enrollments that are changing, and we'll get to that as we go through looking at some of these numbers. If you look at the enrollment here, it's a little misleading, but we look through here and we see that in 2020 the enrollment was quite a bit down, and then it goes up, and then it jumps up this year. Now there's an asterisk there. Why is that? That's freshman engineering. Okay, for you seniors, you know all about this. For you freshmen, you don't understand. You are the first group who don't go to freshman engineering that came to the department. So the reason these numbers are significantly lower is freshmen were not counted because you weren't in the department at that time. Having said that, this number is not bad. But you can see now we're very much loaded among the freshmen, which is great, right? Absolutely terrific. We do have a bulge going through, if you want to call it a bulge, maybe I should call it more like a waist bead. A little bit of a contraction that's going to be going through, and that's going to be going through until graduated. So we graduated 23 this past May, and we have 58 new attendees. So those kinds of numbers indicate that it's going to start going up and continue to go up. You will see, though, that the grad numbers are not very high, and that's something that we'll work on. I hope to see change in the future. Now, as a part of all this, we've been tasked with recruiting more aggressively. Now, we were already doing that, right? The whole faculty and I were doing that. Dr. Schlegel was kind of leading a lot of that for me. But we're working together to do that. And then the university decided, well, you guys are doing such a great job. We're going to make a model out of you. We now require you to meet a 20% growth goal and tell everybody else how to do it. Okay, we'll do it because we were going to do it anyway. So that's what we're going to do. So the numbers, and I'm going to go through these in a couple different ways, but the numbers for this past fall were up 117%. That's not bad. Next fall, 2024, August of 2024, we're already 30% higher in applications. We already have applications for next year. Here's some of those numbers. Committed to freshmen 47. There's some extra transfers in there. That's where that number of 58 comes from. All these numbers are just us beating the campus. We're getting more people. The yield means that if they've applied and been admitted, they come. And so people, as you may know, when you were a freshman, Chris, you guys applied to multiple schools, but you came here. And so that's the number we like. And the campus is up to 25%, but we're at 38%. So these are all good things. And here's what I mentioned about the applications. And you can see now this 169 was last fall, that you are a part of that group, the freshmen. And this is where we are today for next fall. So this is great, and we're going to continue to work this. And like I said, the combination, I think, of the excitement about nuclear now is definitely selling. The department is definitely selling to the students who want to study nuclear engineering. Not every campus has a reactor. We do. We have a lot of things that are going for us that are going to hopefully continue in this trend to growth. We may find this room is not big enough for future meetings. So be it. We will deal with that. If we have to have that problem, we will accept that problem and be happy. So I also wanted to show you this. This is interesting. Money Magazine's top 7 picks for the highest paying engineering jobs. You like that? I see a lot of smiles right there. Yeah, I think that's good, right? Well, how about this one? College majors that pay the most 4 years after graduation. Look at the drop between 1 and 2. Oh, by the way, note who's number 1 on this chart, right? So I guess for those of you who are here, I'm saying you made a good choice. Pick a good school and a good discipline at a good time. This is really, really wonderful. So look at this. People would say, "Oh yeah, computer engineering. That's no, it's good. It's number 7, but it's not number 1. We are. So that's all great. So let's talk about engagement. We talked about this culture and everything. Angelica and Dr. Schlegel and the whole faculty are working on things to do together to foster that culture and to also get people attracted to coming. And some of you may be able to see yourselves in this picture if you were at the ice cream social, which was a big success. So that was one of our first events. Coming up on September 6th for you freshmen is Meet Your Faculty. Dr. Schlegel, what are we going to do there?
So we're gonna have some refreshments. There'll be some cookies and stuff like that, some sodas. And then I have bingo cards made up. So it's kind of an icebreaker. I hate to do that. I know how everybody hates doing it. But there's stuff on the bingo card, so you have to talk to people and find someone who. I know, we're engineers. I'm asking for a heavy lift here. But there will be prizes for the first people to fill out the bingo card and get bingo. No postage stamps though, you gotta get 5 in a row.
Okay, so there'll be more things like that coming, and I'll talk in a minute. You can look online to find out what a lot of these are, but this is something that's coming up immediately. And along with that, our student organizations, in particular, ANS Student Chapter, are doing things. So they're going to be hosting a departmental barbecue on the 9th at Schumann Park. Free freshmen, if you don't know where that is, that's next to the locomotive. And if you don't know where that is, ask. Or point.
It's straight that way.
Yeah.
Like just go down 14th Street and you'll get.
Yeah, pretty much you'll run into the park. And then, Nara, you might want to speak a little bit to this, the faculty and student lighting talk. I think it's supposed to be lightning talk, right?
All right.
Nari, by the way, is the president of ANS up there.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me. I talk pretty loud. So I'll get some more information out about that at the first American Nuclear Society meeting this Wednesday, plugging that one in. But what that is, we're doing a lot to get guys to each other, to the faculty, but you might be wondering, what do they actually do? Like, what are their jobs? What are their research things? So this is a space for them to talk in very quick succession about what they do. And because they talk fast, they have to make it understandable for all of you undergrads, because I also was lost when they first were telling me about their research. So it'll be an entertaining way to get a small glimpse into the kind of like other things they do outside of just teaching.
And it's so fast that if you're bored with Dr. Castano, you'll be excited by Dr. Schlegel because it'll come one right on top of the other, right? So speaking of upcoming events, if you want to scan that QR code or find us, we have, of course, a number of social media outlets, and whatever your preference is, there are multiple ways of following us. And thanks to marketing, they've set it up that when we add something to one, it gets added to the other. So you're going to get a lot of the same information. So whatever your preference is.
That QR code is to our link tree where it's all of our socials, our online calendar, everything. So it's a great way for you to get access to anything that's going on your site.
And you can subscribe to the calendar, so it will show up on your phone.
I see you people are recording the QR code, so I'll pause a moment before I move on. Are we getting it? So now we're having virtual events as well, and some of this has to do for you, but some of it also has to do for prospective students. Some of you who are freshmen maybe attended a couple. Who did something virtual with us before you came here? Anybody? Freshman group? Wow, that did one. Okay. All right. Well, we're trying to do more. And one of those is the virtual reactor tour. You can see there's a couple of these scheduled where people can log in and be remotely away and see it. We've got the Women in Nuclear Engineering coming up on the 28th. So that's another one of our student groups, which I'll talk about in a second. We've got question and answer with nuclear engineering. Did you attend that one? Which one did you do? The reactor tour?
It wasn't the department that was.
Okay. Well, we had quite a number attend, so I guess we're still working on some of those and getting them to campus. But the question and answer with nuclear is literally any question you want. We had students and faculty, more students than faculty there to answer questions for people who wanted to know. And if you don't know what NUPOC is, come back to the seminar, but NUPOC is a Navy program. And what NUPOC is you join the Navy, you sign a contract with the Navy and they pay you to stay here to go to school for 3 years, full salary. And then you go off to officer candidate school and nuclear training school, and you become an officer in the Navy for 4 years, I think is the commitment. 5 years. Okay. And then after that, you but it's an awesome way to get funded if you have an interest in the military. It's a great way to get in because the Navy really likes nuclear engineers. It's so important to them because all their aircraft carriers and all their submarines are nuclear.
Our school is the main Newkirk feeder of the whole country, by the way.
So we have a seminar coming up. Don't remember how far it is when
I just forgot, but yes.
when our Navy representative here in town will come and talk about Navy careers for everybody. And they will also be here at the career fair. So once again, you have that QR code. You can go to the events calendar and register for any of these events through that. So Nari, president of the student chapter of the American Nuclear Society, ANS, is going to have their first meeting on August 30th. And where will that be, Nari? In here. So you should know where to go. And they have a whole series of events planned for the fall semester, and those will be available. And of course, if you come to the first meeting, you'll learn a lot about what the plans are. But I was really happy, as always, for one of our student groups to have success. And in this case, at the most recent student meeting of the American Student Conference of the American Nuclear Society, they won first place. We won first place. Take that. Take that, Illinois. Right? So this is great. And I'll have to say, Dr. Graham and I were talking to the head of the nuclear program, at the Department of Energy, Stephen Huff, and she specifically mentioned you guys have the greatest student chapter. And she's a faculty member at the University of Illinois. So once again, take that. And then along with that, they got some cash for that award, but then they also, as we'll see here, got a grant that they had to write a proposal for. So the George A. Ferguson Motivational Grant was awarded for outreach to kindergarten through high school. And they received just shy of $3,000 to buy demonstration equipment, detectors, sources, and everything so they could participate in a variety of events, Nuclear Science Week, and they have a Boy Scouts Nuclear Science Merit Badge and all this. So if you love community outreach, they do a lot of that. I'm very proud of the fact that they do reach out to the community, and this is going to give them a lot of nice toys and show and tell to take out there to impress people. So this just shows several of the pieces of equipment that they're planning on buying. And honestly, I had to look up what that was. That's pretty cool. Basically, you can see radiation with it. It's a phosphor screen and an eyepiece. So it's one of the early ways of looking at radiation. Cloud chamber, of course, another way to visualize radiation. Geiger counter. Everybody loves the clicks, right? Except when they get really high, and then they'll get nervous and they start backing away. Women in Nuclear is a student chapter of a national organization. Their focus is on professional development and career opportunities. They host a career fair every year. Now, you know there's a career fair on this campus. You couldn't have missed hearing about it. I'm sure they told all the freshmen about the biggest career fair anywhere. This is a special career fair. Nuclear only. Okay, so there's 400 and some companies that are scheduled for the big one. It's going to be taking over the entire town. But before that, we have one that's just for you to go talk to companies who want just to hire nuclear engineers. There were 7 before. What are we up to now? Still 7? Or I didn't see Kelsey here. Leah, how many companies do you have signed up right now?
I believe the ones that we have up there are the ones that.
Okay, Idaho National Lab. If you don't know acronyms here, Los Alamos National Lab, the Navy Nuclear Laboratory, Curium, which is a company in St. Louis, West Physics, a health physics company, and Y12. What's a Y12? That's the bomb makers at Oak Ridge, right? So, and maybe a few more that haven't firmed it up yet. So as you can see there, post resume, career talks, they'll be bringing some people in. raise money. There's a QR code if you want to join their social media as well. And then the nuclear science design team, they were very active in the past, not doing as much at the moment, but I think that's going to change because I see a whole bunch of excited people that want to get involved in design. So we'll get back to that, but we do have that as a chapter. So faculty news. Your faculty are busy bringing in research dollars. Basically submitted a record number of proposals, $6.3 million worth of proposals in the previous year. We just switched over years, by the way. So this would have been last year, 2023 to, let's see, 2023 to 2024. The awards are only 0.7 million right now, only because we have like 3 or 4 in negotiation. And once those are landed, that number will triple or quadruple here. But at the moment, that's all the awarded from the previous period because of the negotiations. One of the things you need to know is Dr. Graham. If you don't know Dr. Graham, Joe, raise your hand. Obviously, associate chair and one of our instructors, but he's going to France. Spain, excuse me. Why did I say Europe? Spain. They're across the mountains from each other, right? For the semester. So he'll be on sabbatical. Sabbatical, if you don't know, faculty can apply, and if they're approved, they can go and spend some time away without any loss of service here at the university. Dr. Graham is actually, for those in the reactor operations class, is going to try to do teaching remotely. So he'll be you'll be up late in the night, right? If you're going to do it live, but I think you're doing it recorded, right? Yeah. So he's going to be doing research there, and it should be pretty exciting. Then come back and tell us all about it. He'll have an early seminar in the spring to tell us about what he did. And as you know, I said Dr. Alam's leaving. We have been authorized to hire 2 new ones, one to replace Dr. Alam and one to expand the department in size. So the ads are out, and we'll see if we can get them in this year. But if not, we will definitely get them in between now and the next year. So should be a couple of new faces here. Hopefully be able to get some really high quality people who want to come and join us. Now, some of you, Dr. Usman's not here, may have seen the news article that came out. S&T researchers awarded $2 million to assess public perception of nuclear waste sites. This was one of only 13 awarded in the country. And Dr. Usman's the PA. Dr. Castano here is one of those, and Dr. Alam, the adjunct, is also on that project with Dr. Usman. They are working on a project that is supporting several universities in a team-oriented research function. And the publicity has been outstanding. We get more calls and requests for interviews, and Dr. Usman's been busy with this, and there's significant follow-on for additional work in this area. But this is dealing with the public and the remnants. You've seen the movie of Oppenheimer. This is the remnants of the nuclear program, which wasn't too careful about where they dump stuff. And some of this is up in St. Louis in a place called Weldon Spring, which is a hot topic in the state of Missouri. But the idea here is to talk to the public, educate the public, maybe even give the public some equipment to do their own detection and learn from that, because the nuclear waste siting issue is something the Department of Energy very seriously wants to deal with to get people to be accepting of it. Notice some of the nuclear waste casks over here. If you've seen Homer Simpson, it's not green slime. It's all nicely contained and pretty easy to deal with, but people don't want it in their backyard. They'd rather it be in your backyard. So back in March, we had an energy symposium in St. Louis where a lot of experts came in to talk about the future of energy, and Dr. Usman and myself were both keynoters for that. So we were able to get through and once again, make a public perception. So a couple things I want to go through quickly. some major initiatives that are going on right now. And one of these is to negotiate an agreement with INL that'll streamline research here. And there's a reason for this. Some of the reasons our awards are pending is because we've been negotiating for months. And if we were to get the lawyers out of the way initially, this will change things and bring a lot of Idaho National Lab funding here. If you're not familiar with the lab system, Idaho is the reactor lab. They built like 20 reactors and they're in the process of building 8 right now. And they're a perfect ally as far as I'm concerned. I have a project, I mentioned this to a few people already, to build a new reactor on campus, a micro reactor. This won't happen right away. Many of you will graduate before it happens, but there'll be a lot of things to do in the meantime in terms of designing it and siting it. And then I have approached the state of Missouri and said, your energy plan is 2 years old and completely out of date, and they agree. So I'm trying to convince them that we would lead the way to help them rewrite their energy plan. Along the way, we're going to perhaps ally with Ameren to do this. So we got a new proposed MS program in health physics for people who are more interested in the medical side of things. We have a new one, and we'll talk about later as it progresses in nuclear technology. This will be not to necessarily compete with nuclear engineering bachelors, but nuclear technologists. So remember those 4 times more nuclear workforce? You need more than just engineers. And it's still being developed. One of our partners that we're trying to work with is State Tech up in Lynn, Missouri, that does reactor operator training. So finally, just talk about the facilities. One of the things I said when I got here was we needed to make Fulton look a little nicer. We're working on it. Jellic and I are working on it. The radiation measurements lab is hopefully going to see some work this fall. Some of you students have already come in and saw that we've upset your little office area there with good intentions. And the reactor is seeing improvements. Dr. Graham and Ethan have been writing proposals to get things such as equipment updated, but we're also looking at updating some of the appearance over there as well. So new furniture and the floor coating will be redone. We've got some other things in mind to do. The 215, this is the kind of furniture that's right on order right now. And when we get it in there, we'll go in there. That you may have noticed that all the computers now work. And the unworking printer has been replaced with a working printer. And along with that, we're going to add a 3D printer to the lab. It'll be plastic, it'll be just for prototyping and fun and maybe making things to sell, but it's something we'll give you to play with. They're getting ready to put up signage, so all those who've been lost in Fulton already, you'll already know your way around, but the next group will have signs to tell them where to go. And in 214, we'll be improving on the walls and the floors, and I hope even replacing the lighting. So, ran through a lot of things. Got any questions? Be happy to entertain those now or sometime. Go down into the hall, say hi to Angelica, smile at her,